What's up, everyone? Welcome to the program. I hope you're all doing well. It's a new week this Monday, and an important week because it's Jackson Hole and Fed Chairman Powell is scheduled to speak on Friday. So the market is awaiting wanting to be eased into a rate cut in September. And of course, what the market wants is a signal that it's going to be a 25 bips, not a 50, that it's going to be a small cut, meaning that the economy is doing well enough to justify just 25 bips and not scare the market into thinking that the economy is crumbling. So it will be Chair Powell's job to negotiate this week and to ease the market into a rate cut. In other news, today Fubo was up a lot on a justice decision. We also have Kamala on deck after having had a speech last Friday where she introduced price controls, and we'll see a little bit of the reaction of the internet on that. And of course, the main event this week is going to be the Democratic Convention. So let's have a look at all this. And here it is. We have Market Watch main page saying that stocks close higher as Wall Street awaits Powell's Jackson Hole speech this week that will take place on Friday. And as we can see, the Dow up 0.58%, S&P 0.97, almost a percent for the S&P, Nasdaq 1.39, almost 1.4%. The VIX is going down. Good news for the market. Risk is going down. And yet we see gold 2542. Gold keeps going higher and higher, meaning that even though the VIX is going down, there is still some risk in the system, and people are betting on gold. Of course, the international situation being sort of a catalyst for gold, and yet oil going down. So a little bit of an interesting situation, because if you consider that there's a lot of risk coming from the Middle East, then perhaps you would think that oil would be up, but no, oil down. So perhaps a sort of balance between recession risks here domestically and risks of conflict elsewhere in the world. But let's have a quick look here at the economic calendar. And on Monday, we had a bunch of the Fed people speaking. It's going to be the case also on Tuesday and Wednesday. We're going to have the minutes. And there could be a risk that we see, and on Thursday, of course, jobless claim, there could be a risk that we see revisions on the jobs, and maybe, and we've said it on the channel, the job statistics are not reliable, and we could have up to 1 million job revisions, meaning that all the employment data that we've had from this administration would be false. And of course, we know that already, so it's not going to be a surprise. And so a lot of people thinking that there's going to be some risk in the market regarding this. But the truth is that we know that this government has been lying about the job statistics. So perhaps the market has already digested some of it and is already prepared to see sort of these numbers being revised down. It might not be as bad, but of course it will depend on the amount of job that will be revised down. Anyway, we'll have to keep a look at this and see what happens. But of course, going to be the PMI that are being coming up, existing home sales on Thursday, but the main event is going to be on Friday. Jerome Powell speaking, and that's going to be sort of what sets up the market for the rest of the month and for the beginning of September, all the way until we get sort of the rate cut decision. But in this meeting on Friday, Jerome Powell is going to want to ease the market and reassure the market that everything is fine, that the economy still holds on and we're getting rid of inflation and everything is going to be great. It's going to be a soft landing, and a 20 bips cut in September is going to solve everything. And if we go back here, we can see that here on the first page of MarketWatch, stop buying Fubo stock. It's too early in the legal process to bet on a win. And so Fubo today being awarded, getting a big W for them, because Venue Sport, which is a joint venture between Warner Bros., Fox, and ESPN, Disney, is getting a problem with the justice system. Of course, these three companies getting into a joint venture that would cover all sports on TV, a completely monopolistic situation that would absolutely need to be broken down by the justice system. And apparently, Fubo antitrust suit getting some traction here with a judge on Friday temporarily blocking the streaming service Venue from launching, and that, of course, sending the price of Fubo up. We can read a little more here. Fubo, of course, involved in the broadcasting of sport. And if Warner Brothers, Discovery, Fox, and Disney was to be able to launch a service all together, it would obviously be very difficult for Fubo. It would corner the market and sort of a unexpected to see that from the justice system under a Biden administration, but they are siding against the big corporations, and Fubo getting some traction here. Let's have a look at the charts a little bit here. Let's look first at the dollar index. Why is the stock market getting some tailwind here? Well, it is because the DXY is going down. We can see here the DXY at a trend line breaking under. Is it going to be a fake out? And if it is a fake out and it goes back up, then the stock market is, of course, going to suffer. All asset markets are going to suffer. But if it is a breakdown, and if the dollar starts to break a lower and make lower lows, then we could see a situation that could be some fuel for the stock market. And let's have a look at the VIX here quickly. We can see after the huge spike of the VIX, now we're going back down here at 14. We're going back into this bull mode for the stock market. The US 10-year, let's have a quick look here, going down, making lower lows. And gold still a powering upside in this channel here. It is not stopping. And of course, it's very strange, right, to see gold going up with interest rates that are still quite high. And of course, it is about the risk and sort of the de-dollarization that is in play at the moment because of all the international conflicts, that being a fuel for gold. And as we said, oil not responding in the same manner, so perhaps recession risk also being priced into the market. But let's have a look at Fubo here. Fubo skyrocketing today on the announcement of the judge decision to stop Venue from launching. And so here, let's have a look at Fubo here. Fubo at my strategic buy here at 115, and I sold here at 194. So a big 69% up in a very short period of time. And of course now it's well, we'll see. We'll have to see sort of what happens here. But I sold half of my position in Fubo here on the spike at the very early in the session. We're down now a little bit from that level. But maybe this can get some legs. We have to see. Apparently, Market Watch says no, and I would probably agree with them, and that's why I sold half of my stake. Because with this administration, we rarely see them siding with the little guys, and so even though now the judge is preventing them from launching, eventually I would assume that they're just gonna let them do whatever they want to do, because ultimately you're talking about the major entertainment companies siding against a small startup. And if you count like how much money the big guys are going to be giving to the campaign of the Democrats versus Fubo, who doesn't have any money to buy politicians, then that's the way it's going to go. Eventually they're going to side with the big corporations, even though legally they shouldn't, and they shouldn't let these guys build a monopoly. But that's the way it goes with the Biden-Harris administration. And that leads us to our next topic, Mars. And that was last week, of course. Mars buying Kellanova, $36 billion deal. So Mars making all, the packaged food, the chocolate bars and all that stuff, and Kellanova, which was one of the spin-offs from Kellogg's, having sort of all the snacks side of Kellogg's. And now it's Pringles, Pop-Tarts, all that kind of stuff. And they're, basically another monopoly that the Biden-Harris administration is letting form through a $36 billion merger. And that's why, in the end, for this Venue sport against Fubo, my guess is that the government is going to let them go through because it's big money. Think about a $36 billion merger. How much money in fees are the banks and Wall Street and the law firms going to make off of that? And that's all going to be funneled into the campaigns of the Democrats. So, of course, they're going to let Venue Sports do whatever the hell they want and charge the $42 a month for people who want to watch sports, because ultimately that's going to result into a lot of gains for them. And so that leads us sort of to our next topic, which was Kamala Harris talking last Friday and giving us one of her first policy proposals that were not just straight up copied from Trump, like the no tax on tips. And the New York Post answering to that speech with Kamunism. Kamunism, not different from communism, but with a little flavor of Kamala. And Kamala Harris basically proposing price controls and pretending that she's going to fight with the consumers and that she's not going to let these big corporations create monopolies and do mergers, while at the same time, just last week, at the same time as she was making this speech, she let Mars and Kellanova, a $36 billion merger, mostly about sort of food, packaged food monopoly being created, and at the same time going in front of the public and saying, I'm going to fight price gouging from food makers. And let's have a look here and let's hear it from the horse's mouth.
So believe me, as president, I will go after the bad actors. And I will work to pass the first ever federal ban on price gouging on food. My plan will include new penalties for opportunistic companies that exploit crises and break the rules, and we will support smaller food businesses that are trying to play by the rules and get ahead.
Absolute nonsense. And saying that she's going to support the little guys when they're letting a 36 billion merger go through that's going to create a monopoly. And now every time you go to the store to buy any kind of snack, the whole hail is going to be Mars and the Kellanova products, and they're going to be able to charge you and overcharge you simply because there is no competition. And so, she's taking advantage of voters, low information voters, and essentially saying people what they want to hear, while at the same time doing exactly the opposite. And letting these monopolistic mergers go through. And of course, it's going to be the Democratic convention now this week, and all eyes, of course, are going to be on her and on the rest of the Democrats. But we're going to see sort of how she's going to negotiate, because this speech that she did last week did not go well. As soon as she made it, her odds on the prediction markets started going down for her to win the presidency. And of course, it's a big mistake. There's no way that she's going to do something like that. This is just a lip service. She's never going to enact price control measures, because that would be straight up stupid, and no one's going to let her do that, not even a Democratic Congress and Senate. But in a presidential race, you can say absolutely anything that you want, and you can say the most stupid things that you can. And then that's what she did. And now she was sort of getting a substantial lead on Donald Trump in this election. And just with that one speech, she has managed to bring Trump back now in contention. And of course, the race is still long, and there's a lot of time from now until November. But after what happened this last week, now I think we're going to see the Democrats keep her away from the cameras, because every time she's going to open her mouth and she's going to, talk to the American people, it's going to be clear to the American people that she's not capable of being president. And of course, as soon as she had said that, the Democrats went into damage control mode. And here, Gretchen Whitmer, who is the co-chair of her campaign, went on Meet the Press to sort of disavow what was said just the day before, and to say, oh, well, she said that, but really she doesn't mean it here.
Well, let's delve into some of the policies. The vice president laid out some of her economic policies this week. Among other things, she's proposing a ban on price gouging. Here is what Obama administration economist Jason Furman had to say. He said, quote, "This is not sensible policy. And I think the biggest hope is that it ends up being a lot of rhetoric and not reality. There's no upside here, and there is some downside." He warned effectively that price controls could ultimately stifle economic growth. So do you think that's the best way to bring down prices in Michigan?
Well, I think people are reading too much into what has been put out there.
Yeah, reading too much into what has been put out there, but it's been put out there by Kamala. And if you're reading too much into it, it just means that you're believing something that she said. And actually, there's no need to believe that everything that she's going to say is a lie. And you don't really need to believe that. None of that is going to happen. None of the fixing price caps are going to be put in place. And she also had a proposal of $25,000 help for deposit for people who want to get housing. But there again, it's just a proposal that's dead on arrival. None of that is going to happen. And that will be it. And we have the Democratic Convention taking place in Chicago this week. And as you can see, there's a lot of people who are out there to protest it, unhappy with the situation and the handling of the Biden-Harris administration of the Palestinian and Israeli issue. And they're going to be there. And of course, it is reminiscent of the Democratic Convention in Chicago in 1968. So once again, we're back in Chicago with a situation that is similar. And of course, BBC is telling you why this Democratic Convention will not be like Chicago in 1968. And of course, if they're saying that, is because that's probably what's going to happen. It's going to be exactly the same. And so to bring back history a little bit, in 1968, the Vietnam War, the anti-war protest at the Democratic Convention in Chicago essentially scared America from Democratic leadership, just because the images and the situation was so chaotic that people were like, we don't want that. And the situation that was somewhat strangely similar with Lyndon Johnson that announced that he would not be seeking a re-election the same way as Joe Biden. And so the question becomes now, are we going to see scenes of violence at this Democratic Convention that would absolutely tank the Democrats' chances in this election? We will see what happens. Of course, the Democrats are going to do everything that they can so that that doesn't happen. But the question is it really their choice? Is this really in their hands? Do they have control of the situation or not? We will see. Only time will tell. But of course, a big risk here for the Democrats. They could lose it all at this convention, either by having scenes outside the convention in ways that are out of their control that would tank their chances of getting a presidential election, or it could also be in what is said inside the convention. If we hear some more crazy, just extreme leftist ideas from Kamala, and that who knows, after price control, how much more communism can you get after price control? who knows? We will have to see, but make sure you tune in to the channel to see. We will follow the Democratic convention and the speakers that will be there. Anyway, thank you for watching this video. Make sure you leave a like, join the program, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you don't miss our future episode. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.
Hit me with that like, and sub to the channel. Hit me with that like, and click the effing bell. Click that bit, alright. The algo recommends for she go like. The algo knows you well. Hit me with that like, subscribe to the channel. Hit me with that like, and click the effing bell.